Hello, welcome. I am officially 1 year sober. I want to talk about how I changed my life and how you can change your life in a year too. You will be able to achieve more than you can imagine in 1 year if you really set your mind to it. I know at the beginning change seems impossible and it seems like you'll never get to the place that you want to get to, but you will really surprise yourself by how much you can progress. Let's talk about it. I'm sat here with some beautiful flowers. I've got them in this lovely vase. I think I've cut them a bit short, but I really don't care. They're so lovely. My mum got me, my mum got me those to celebrate my 1 year sobriety. I am feeling very grateful and a bit sad and reflective when I think about how bad I was feeling a year ago. It was the start of all of this. Change, as I mentioned, is overwhelming and it feels too much and you feel like you won't be able to do it. I would not have thought I would be able to do a year sober, yet here I am. It just comes down to small steps really. It's the little things. So in sobriety, you're encouraged to take things one day at a time. Don't be thinking, how am I going to stay sober for a year? How am I going to maintain this for a whole year? Just take it one day at a time and the days build up and you get there. And that's what I've been able to do. Do 1 year with no alcohol by doing one day at a time. So whatever it is that you want to achieve, maybe you could try applying this mindset to your life, one day at a time. What is something that you can do today to get closer to your goals? I had a really lovely soberversary, sober birthday. My mum, as I said, got me this lovely flowers. She also got me ice cream and I bought myself some cupcakes and I bought myself a card as well. I think the fact that I bought myself a card and I bought myself cupcakes is a small thing that shows how much I've changed. Basically, I was like, no one else is gonna feel the way that I feel about achieving 1 year sober. Yes, I know there are people who are happy for me and they've said well done, and as I said, my mum bought me flowers, but I am the one who has done it and I know the whole story. I was like, I'm gonna get myself a card and I'm gonna write a card to myself and say well done and celebrate myself. And it might seem a bit strange, but that shows me how much I've changed, because I never would have thought to do something like that a year ago. I would have been like, that's so embarrassing to get yourself a card. But now I'm like, I really don't care. I'm so happy that I've done this. I'm really proud of myself. I'm gonna celebrate myself and buy myself a card. So I had a really lovely day. It was a really sunny, beautiful day. So I went for a few walks and it was just so nice to be able to appreciate the sunshine and appreciate how far I've come and all of the things that have changed. I just feel very grateful and very lucky. I know we've talked a bit about how change feels impossible and we've talked a bit about one day at a time. I would also say you need to act the way that you want to be. I've talked a bit about this in my video, act the way you want to feel, which I will link up there, but you need to act the way that the person you want to get to acts. So if we're going to take me as an example, if I want to stay sober, I need to act the way a sober person acts, and that goes far beyond not drinking, although that is clearly number one. Don't drink, you need to be sober. But in terms of someone who wants to keep their sobriety and who wants to remain sober, there are things I need to do to make sure I stay that way. I need to act in certain ways every day to maintain my sobriety. So I need to make sure that I'm in touch with my feelings, good and bad. What am I feeling? What's going on? I need to be aware of these things because any bad emotions could prompt me to think about drinking again. So I need to be very in touch with my emotions. I need to also be connected with other people so that I can share things, get good feedback, get encouragement. And this was not something that I was good at a year ago. And the idea now that I've created these friendships, these relationships with other people who are also in recovery, this would not have occurred to me as something that I would be able to do because I am quite a socially anxious person. I tend towards wanting to spend time by myself as opposed to with other people. I get very intimidated when I walk into a big room and there's loads of people there, even if it's people that I know. It's not my natural setting, so I wouldn't say that I'm a very social person, and to go from that person into the person I am now who has lots of different connections is okay, just jumping on a Zoom call and chatting with whatever, walking into a meeting and just seeing who's there and saying hello. I'm not a really confident person, extroverted person who's like, hi, I'm here, but I am able to connect with people, and I wasn't able to do that a year ago. Forming connections and just being happy being myself, feeling my feelings, those are all things that I've learnt to do in the past year by acting the way I want to feel, acting like a sober person. I'm like, okay, well, I have to do this, just doing what other people told me. Listen to people who have done what you already want to do. If you're like, I want to build muscle, if you're like, I want to write a book, I want to apply to this job which seems really out of reach at the moment, but in a year I hope maybe I'll get there. You need to talk to people who have already done the thing that you want to do, because they will give you so much advice and you will not be able to question it, because they will say do this, or this is what I did that helped me, this book really helped me, or this podcast, or this daily habit of going for a walk, or of praying, meditating, this breathing exercise. They will tell you what's worked for them, and you won't be able to question it because they have their achievement to stand behind. So if someone in sobriety is telling me they have 10 years sober, or even 5 years or a year, anything that is more than me, I need to listen to what they have to say, because something that they're doing is clearly working. And I am someone who is quite like, I can question authority quite a bit and be like, I'm quite cynical. So to have people who I look up to and sort of treat as mentors because they're further down the path than I am, I can't be cynical about it because it's clearly worked for them, so I have to listen to them. So whatever you want to achieve, you need to find those people who have already done what you're looking to do. Maybe you want to run a marathon. Start talking to like friends of friends or family friends or whatever, and try and find someone who's already done it. Get the advice from them, because you won't be able to disregard it. It won't be something that you can be like, oh well, that worked for them but that wouldn't work for me, because they've done it. So why wouldn't what they did work for you? They've already got to the place that you want to get to. I mean, that's basically what my recovery has been around. It's listening to what other people say, and even if I think that's a bit silly or I don't know if that will work for me, it's about like humbling myself and being like, well, who do I think I am that that's not going to work for me? They say it's worked for them, why not try it? And it might not work for me. Anything that someone suggests, it might not work for you, because you are not the person who you're getting advice from. You may not have the same personality, you may not have the same things that motivate you, but that doesn't mean that the advice isn't helpful. You need to try out different things and find those people in your life who are further along the path than you are, whether that's spiritually, or maybe it's someone who's better at handling their emotions than you are, someone who is in a longer term relationship than you are, and you're like, oh, I don't know how to start dating someone, or I feel like I'm always caught in the same pattern of this, or whatever it is. Find someone who is further along that path and who can see your situation, can maybe even say, I've been there, I know what it's like, and then can help you, because that will really help you change your life in a year. Another really important thing that I have learned in the past year is that growth happens outside of your comfort zone. And I know a lot of people say this and it's sort of common knowledge, but I was sort of forced into a situation where I was like, okay, I need to stop drinking now. That was very much outside of my comfort zone. I've talked a bit about this in some of my other videos, but alcohol was my comfort zone, and I had to get past that and get out of that in order to grow as a person, and it's been really challenging. But when I look at the progress I've made, yes, a lot of it has happened outside of my comfort zone. So I know that you might want to stay where you are because you feel safe. Even if it's a dark place, you might think, I'm at home here, I know what it's like, it's familiar, and stepping out of that can feel really intimidating. But the only way that you're going to make change and grow as a person and reach whatever your goal is, the only way that's going to happen is if you step outside of your comfort zone. And again, that comes back to little things. So yes, going without alcohol was a big thing, but again, one day at a time. What can I do right now? Okay, I'm going to go for a walk. That's a little thing, but that's going to take me out of my comfort zone. At the beginning, I wasn't used to doing anything really. What can I do? I can make myself a nice meal. I can have a shower. Like, when you're in a place where you have low mood, your world can shrink down to the size of just your room. Anything then is taking little steps outside of your comfort zone. So then yes, having a shower is outside of your comfort zone, or going for a walk is outside of your comfort zone if you're in that kind of hibernation space where you're just wanting to spend all your time in your room. I talk a bit about this in my video Back to Basics Mental Health if you want to check that out. But I know what it's like when your comfort zone just shrinks down the world and you can't do anything because everything's getting smaller and smaller because you want to stay in that zone of comfort and stay in that familiarity, but that's not going to help you grow. So you need to get out there and do things that challenge you, whether that, as I say, is something small like going for a walk, or something bigger like applying to a bigger job. You need to do that in order to get outside of your comfort zone. Another thing I've learned in the past year, I think you could apply this to your life, is to not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. This is a quote that I've heard somewhere. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't be so hung up on finding the perfect routine or the perfect time to start something new that you completely miss the opportunity to do anything because you're too focused on the perfect, you miss out on the good. So sometimes good enough is good enough and you just need to start, because that's the only way you're going to make any progress. Don't be beating yourself up if you miss out on, oh, I said I was going to go to the gym this many times, or I said I was going to try and call that person and talk about my career, or I said I was going to go to the doctor and see if I could get a prescription for antidepressants, but I just don't feel up to it this week. Like, don't make yourself feel bad if you can't get to whatever it is that you said you were going to do. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Just do what you can instead of focusing on making it the perfect thing or waiting for the perfect time to do a certain thing. Ultimately, I think this year I have learnt to lean into who I am, and I'm doing that in a big way with this channel where I'm talking a lot about my recovery, but I really hope it will help someone either see that recovery is possible, or that your idea of what an addict or an alcoholic is maybe needs expanding and that you can really change your life in a big way, because I never really thought that I would be where I am. But it is possible. It's just about showing up every day for yourself and doing the difficult things even when you don't feel like it. And that's not to say that I've always been like good at pushing myself through any bad moments. Like, I have had times which have been difficult to deal with, but I've got through them, and I think a lot of that also comes down to the connections that I've made and asking for help. I've done a whole video about why it's important for you to ask for help. That has been something really foundational that I've learned this year, and I'm so happy that I'm now able to do that, and I don't feel any judgment, or I don't feel bad about having to do that. I mean, I used to be very happy that I was self-reliant. I mean, not towards the end of my drinking, because I really did need help then, but I used to be a bit proud almost, and be like, I can do it by myself, I don't need help. Whereas now I've completely accepted the fact that I really do need help, and I do need people to talk to and get advice from, and that's okay, and that's helping me grow, and I'm really grateful that I have developed that attitude over the last year. Yeah, I really accepted myself. I've accepted the way I am, as I say, leaning into who I am. I've learned how to follow my intuition and trust my intuition. It's really hard to go against the current or to feel like you're standing out or that you're different from everyone else, but I guess I've kind of had this just like thrust upon me, because I'm like, oh, I'm in my 20s and I don't drink anymore, and I can't drink because it would be dangerous for me to, and that feels very weird, because that is not countercultural, but that's not normal for someone this young. I mean, I know quite a lot of people now. I've met them through my sobriety, so it feels normal to me, because I do know plenty of people who are in the same situation as me, but I know generally it's not normal. But having just time to accept that and let that sink in, and just learning to step into myself is really important. And I will say, yeah, time as well. In terms of changing your life in a year, yeah, you need a year, but these things, these habits, they take time to develop. It takes time for your mind to change, for your attitude to change, and it will be in really subtle ways. It's not going to happen overnight, and I know that's really difficult to hear, because we all want like a quick fix, we all want a solution, but it is about acting the way you want to feel and showing up every day in the ideal way of whatever that looks like for you, and making small changes, because you know those small changes will add up to big changes. It's not easy. You want it to go, because you're like, I want to get to the end point, but I guess tied in with that is that I've learned to enjoy the journey more, instead of always be focused on the result or on reaching a certain point. Instead, just to take a step back and look at what I've done today. How was that working to help me achieve my goals? Where did I maybe not mess up, but where could I improve on for tomorrow? Just small things, just small things, but they all do add up and make a big difference. And I think just my whole attitude, I think I would be, if I went back a year and said, maybe showed myself this video, I'd be maybe a bit impressed by what has changed and the way I go about things. And I definitely wouldn't have thought a year ago that I would have started a YouTube channel, but I'm now, 3 months in, and I'm, really loving it. You can change your life in a year. You can make big changes that seem completely impossible. It is possible. Change is possible. You just need to do it one day at a time. You will not be able to believe the things that you're able to do if you put your mind to it, and if you decide that you are worth it, because you are. I'm very grateful to be a year sober. I'm grateful for my lovely flowers. They are so lovely. I hope this has helped you in some way. I hope you have a good day today. I hope you can achieve your dreams, and I hope you can believe in yourself enough to believe that in a year from now, if you decide to implement some big changes in the coming year, you will be able to achieve them and look back and be like, oh my gosh, all of the things I have achieved, I am very excited for what is to come. I just hope one day at a time I'm able to meet more people, help people, learn more, and just grow in my sobriety. So I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I will see you in the next one.